I started in 1992 in the college sector. Prior to that, I was a director of tennis Fontainebleau. Then I had my own company, and I was working with all types of levels, from beginners to adults to very good players. So it was a broad range. And then my friend asked me to help him at Barry in 1992 in August, and that's when I made the change. First, I see, we always look at the results, right? Everyone wants to be competitive, but then the character of the kid. But the attitude is really important, because with a small group of people, if you have one bad attitude or two with a group of 8 guys or 10, it kind of resonates in a smaller group. So you really have to manage those kids where the attitudes are on the outside, or not willing to work, or just the day-to-day stuff. You really have to manage the attitudes, because if you let it go, it can definitely be a negative impact on the group of people you're working with, where it's male or female. So I'm really on kids to stay in the know and always communicate with me, and I'm always on them to do the right thing. And if they make a mistake, I'm okay with it, actually, because it helps them grow. But I keep them accountable. But if they don't, and it's a continuous, then you can't grow your team. At Barry, I think it's an advantage that you work at a small school, because you had multiple hats. And believe it or not, I was in charge of the strength and conditioning program for both teams. Also taught classes while I was getting my master's. In charge of vans. I mean, I did so many things, and that was expected of you at the smaller college level. The matches were separate, so I was like an associate head coach, but my duties were really primarily with a woman for the first 5 years. But as far as to stay in coaching, you have to have a lot of different skill sets to be good at it, I believe. So that's how it all began, and the next step was a little easier. What I grew up with was always like the student first, because I think we all have this grandiose idea that you're going to play in the NBA or professional tennis and make Wimbledon, and we know you can, but it's such a small percentage. So I mean, the first thing is to get their degree. The second is to make sure, and an athletic standpoint, I help them develop as an individual tennis player, but also as a team. I have to develop that person individual and fit into the team concept. So tennis is a little different like golf, because it's all individual. Then you get them in a group. Then your job is to mold them, and it's a little tougher to do than a normal like baseball or basketball 6-man. But I mean, I think you're more of a leader or a teacher to them than a coach. If the human touch is, to me, is the most important. The favorite part is when the group comes together, and kind of realizes, and I think in the fall, like any group, they're filling each other out, they're competing each other in tournaments, but I think once that's all settled and they can accept their role as a player, whether you're starting or not, and be selfless. And it's hard for those kids to do that, but they learn, and I think it's a maturity thing too. It's not all about them, it's about the team. I think that's fun when that does happen, and it's occurred, but it's a lot of work, it's a lot of effort, it's a lot of meeting with them individually, it's a lot of encouragement from me. If I don't encourage that, it just doesn't happen. You have to really work at it, and I take pride in working at it, and it's fun, but it's hard work, and sometimes teams don't form like you want them to. And sometimes you have the talent, but you don't have the good attitudes. Sometimes you have the not so good attitudes, but you have a great foundation where the kids want to fight for each other and like each other. Some of those teams have done better for me with the most talented teams that I've coached. It's kind of, you've got to strike that chord or that balance, I think. Their facilities are beautiful. I mean, honestly, I was at UCF for years, and the facility that they play at now is nice, but the facility that I played at is nothing compared to this, and the campus is pretty. I think it's a growing school. I think the academics are good, but I think the facilities alone, the athletic facilities that they've put the money towards, are really second to none as far as a junior college goes.